Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in again. I want to get started with a full comparison review between the Amazon Echo Plus second generation, the first generation device, and of course the Google Home. So let's get started. By the end of this, you're going to know which one of these devices you want. All right, now first things first, let's get into the discussion around price. These two devices are $149 US, whereas the Google Home is $129 US. They both go on sale quite often. I think you're gonna see some sales here before we get to the Christmas season as Google pushes hard and as Amazon pushes hard to take more and more of that smart speaker segment. Next up, when we're talking about devices at this level, we want some real home automation capability, and I'll tell you, both or all three of these devices are capable of an incredible amount of home automation. They're now both capable of things like routines and the capability of controlling all these different home automation devices. There are over 20,000 devices and services that work with the Amazon Echo series of products and with their voice assistant, and there is now over 10,000 devices and services that work with the Google Assistant and of course the Google Home and the Google Home Mini products there. One thing that is different here between the Google Home and these two devices, the Echo Plus, is the fact that there is a Zigbee hub on board both of these. Now, the differential between these two is simply put, a temperature sensor sits on this device and there is no temperature sensor here. So you can get the room temperature from this device anytime you'd like. Now the Zigbee hub, that differential between these two sides of the table here, that differential I think really sets apart these two in terms of home automation. What happens here is you can connect directly to Samsung SmartThings sensors and Sangled light bulbs. Both of those are Zigbee enabled or Zigbee protocol device types, and so they can connect directly to these Zigbee hubs, whereas the Google Home really doesn't have that capability. We've been told in the past that it has the capability for Z-Wave protocol, but that has never been enabled and we've never seen Google kind of head down that path. So as of right now, there's a big differential over here. What that means is you have to buy the hubs for Samsung SmartThings and for Sangled light bulbs if you want them to work here. Now finally, in terms of automating your life or home automation, ultimately the voice assistant is really important, and there's no comparison here. These two devices have the same voice assistant, and I'm not going to say the name, but that voice assistant is exactly the same on both of these devices. So nothing to really talk about here. What happens over here on the Google Assistant side of things is things like Google Duplex, the capabilities that this has in terms of being accurate, and just the services that Google has access to. So for example, the Google Finance or Google News, those different services on top of their search capability, whereas Bing is being used for search here and there's some other services being used for stocks and things like that. But ultimately the services are so complete over here, and like I said, Google Duplex is going to push this device so far ahead in terms of its voice assistant that I just don't think Amazon can keep up. One other thing to talk about when we talk about home automation, the Amazon application here, and I'm not going to say that application name, but that application is excellent. It's just undergone a redesign, and I think they did a great job with it. Having said that, the redesign that Google just put out for the Google Home application, I think there's a couple of things they need to change in terms of some settings and availability of certain things. But when I look at the capability that you have with this application, it is incredible right off the main page of that application, and by far this is the better application. I don't really care if I end up with an extra hub in my home. What I'd say overall is that I like the Samsung SmartThings hub anyways. I like integrating that here with the Google Home, and so I don't mind having that Zigbee hub communicate with all my Zigbee devices. It was nice initially to have this capability, but ultimately, in the end, I don't think that makes or breaks this home automation discussion. What I think does is the accuracy and the capability of the Google Assistant. So ultimately, in the battle of home automation, it's coming here. Now, in terms of speaker quality, and that might be the most important thing for a lot of people here, the 3 devices are all capable of producing great sound. There's not a device here that you're going to listen to and think that's no good. But there is a differential here between these 2 products. This had a 2.5-inch woofer and a 0.8-inch tweeter. This has a 3-inch woofer and a 0.8-inch tweeter. So now the increase there gives this a much deeper sound in terms of the bass and the lower frequencies. What I think is it rounded out this device even more, and then the capability of pairing an Echo Plus 2nd generation, not a 1st generation, with another and an Echo Sub gives you that 2.1 speaker system that really cannot be matched over here. The other thing is, to my ear, overall, this is a better speaker than the Google Home. This is a very clear device, but when I'm just listening to music, I find myself now trending towards the Echo Plus 2nd generation. Now, of course, it always helps if you hear the actual battle go on here. So hang on, let me put you through a demo of these 3 speakers. To my ear, this is the best speaker out of the 3, and when you compare it or when you add it to an Echo Sub and another one of these devices, let me tell you, the sound quality is excellent. One other thing to talk about in terms of audio, if you wanted to connect to a second speaker, a Bluetooth speaker is available on all of these devices, but the Amazon Echo Plus, both of these devices, has a auxiliary port on the back, so a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary port that can go out to another speaker. So you have the ability to either use this speaker or go out to another in a couple of different methods with these Echo Plus devices, whereas the Google Home only has Bluetooth capability. Now, for most people, that's just fine, but if you have kind of an older speaker with that sort of connection, you have that ability to use that with your smart home capabilities. Now, the next discussion around music and multimedia is really the access to different services. So right here, what we have access to is Amazon Music, Spotify, and then here in Canada, we have TuneIn, and there's other radio services. Those are the services I have here in Canada on Amazon Music. I know there's more in the US and there's more capability in other countries or different services. But what I've found over time is that Google is moving ahead and they're integrating more services. So Deezer is available over here. Pandora is available in certain countries over here. We now have YouTube Music growing instead of Google Play Music. It seems like Google's maybe moving on from that, but they seem to have a few more services there. The other thing is you have access to Amazon Prime Video within this system. So if you had an Echo Show, that Amazon Prime videos or movies there, really that service just doesn't do it for me. There's not enough on there, and there's some nice new content, but I'd rather have integration with the services that YouTube provides, mainly YouTube. So you can watch my video, for example, on YouTube on a Google Home Hub now, or a Lenovo Smart Display. So to me, just that simple integration of YouTube over here puts Google ahead in terms of multimedia and access to music services as well. So in terms of music and multimedia, what I'm finding overall is that I have access to enough over here with the Google Home that I'm happy with it. But for those people that are real you really want to hear your music and you want a full speaker system, I think you're going to want to come here. I don't see Google addressing this anytime soon, and they're not really a hardware company, so overall, I'm not sure if they're going to go out there and create a bunch of subs and other speakers and other things. I think they're relying on their partners to do a little bit of that. So for my money, if you're really looking for sound quality, come here. Either of these two devices are going to be great. That speaker theater system, the 2.1 system, has not been promised here. So if you want that capability, don't go out and get an old Echo Plus first generation. Go for a second generation. Now, in terms of look and feel, I think it's pretty clear that this is a pretty menacing device, to be honest. You can't stick that in the middle of a room and have it not be the centerpiece. You can't stick it in the middle room and not have people looking at this metallic finish here on the device. And ultimately, I just think it's too big. Now, moving down here, you can see that these devices are very similar in height, they're very similar in width, and ultimately they're very similar in finish. We have the cloth design on both of these. Google has a little bit more shape to their device, and then they have a little bit of this other finishing, the kind of the plastic finishing. Now, overall, when I look at this is starting to look a little bit dated. I'm glad I could change the colors out with some of their different accessories there, but this is starting to look a little bit dated, and I think this device here looks the best out of the three. And the matte finishing on the top here, all of the design around this, you can even tell the lights are less obtrusive basically compared to the first generation. I like the finishing of this device entirely. So from my perspective here, this is the best looking device, and if I had to pick a second, it'd be here with the Google Home. All right, so there you go. Now, the ultimate discussion is which of these are you buying? And still, for my money, because this is a highly software-based device, the Google Home is still my choice. I'm still going to pick it almost every time. But what I'll tell you is, from this device to this device, Amazon has made this a lot closer. And again, I think their voice assistant is going to improve based on the new microphones, and obviously they're learning constantly in terms of their voice assistant, and it is getting better. Their access to 20,000 other smart home devices and services is unparalleled. They're still ahead of Google in that regard. They have a lot to offer, and this has become very close. So I think at this point, my only distinction is really that Google Assistant versus Amazon's voice assistant there, and that drives me here in the discussion. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Go ahead, leave that down in the comments below. If you have any other questions, of course, I always answer comments from you guys, so go ahead, leave them below, and I'd love to get to them anytime. Otherwise, make sure you join the channel here, guys, as I go through more reviews and more demos and tutorials for how to set these devices up in your home, how to integrate them, and ultimately how to automate your life. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.